A real man does whatever the fuck he pleases, you know? A lot of people may disagree with that statement, but hear me out. A lot of men in this society are just so afraid to do what they want to do. You know, we're all like most men are conformists. We're afraid to say what we feel, do what we want. And when I say a real man does whatever he wants, I don't mean go around harming people or doing anything illegal. It's not what I mean. Within the context of things that are legal, you know, you get what I'm trying to say? You can't do whatever you want. I mean doing what you want as a means to like what do you want to do in life, you know? Oftentimes, you know, society or maybe your family or a certain environment, you know, may push you to act a certain way or be a certain way. Like, oh, you can't do that, or oh, you can't, you know, you can't ask that person out, they're out of your league, or you can't work there, or you can't start that business. What are you thinking? Like, how you gonna do that? And you know, a real man doesn't listen to the critics or what, you know, naysayers have to say. You know, yeah, you could listen to other people's opinions, but you don't have to always conform to them. And oftentimes, you know, I see this in society, like, you know, when you look at most men in society, like, they just conform to wherever they're at, you know, like, but look at successful people. Look at people who are highly successful. They do whatever the fuck they please, you know. They'll get on camera, act however, and it works, you know, not or famous. Or they start a business and, oh, well, how you think that's going to work? But it works out. See, if they listened to other people's opinions all the time, they would have never, like, got to where they are. They would have never made any money. They would have never lived a good life. You know, so it's the best thing for a man to do is to follow his own intuition, you know. If you feel that you want to live a certain life, do it. If you feel that you want a certain thing, go and get it, you know. And you see this in a lot of successful people. They'll even do like like shady things or whatever to get ahead. And I'm not saying do that. I wouldn't, you know, say, you know, go as far as doing that. But as an example, you see how they just don't give a fuck. They wake up, they do whatever they want. They don't follow nobody else's schedule, rules, and they get ahead in life. And it's a lesson that I'm still learning myself, truly, because for most of my life, I've been such a conformist. I've been such a conformist to, you know, what other people have to say, you know, or family or religion or whatever, you know. What you know, if you have a boss, what your boss has to say, oh, I can't do that because, you know, they might find out. You know, it just doesn't matter anymore, you know. Times are changing, and I feel like if, as a man, if you're not bold enough to just do what the fuck you want to have a better life, then you know, you won't get ahead. You know, it's like, it's just, I just don't feel life is worth living if we're constantly conforming. You know, there's no originality. There's no more original thinkers. You know, there's no more inventions. We've hit like this plateau in history where it's like everyone acts so fucking similar, bruh. You know, and I don't know, it's like it's hard for me to even articulate this. I get, you know, a lot of men have responsibilities, you know, you got bills, or you got, you know, kids, or you whatever, you know, these obligations. But at the same time, it's like yeah, as a man, you got to fulfill your obligations, right? Of course. But while you're fulfilling your obligations, also take your own needs into account and understand, like, hey, if this is something I want to do, whatever it may be, and let's say it's not illegal, it's not hurting anyone, then go and do it, you know? Do it. Like starting this YouTube channel, I could, you know, listen to other people and be like, oh, well, I don't know if that's a good idea and shy away from it. But, if it's good for me, it doesn't interfere with anyone else, then by all means, go and do it. You see this in a lot of, a lot of celebrities. They do what the hell they want. And look where they're at, You see this in a lot in history. Look at any historical figure. Look at any of them. Any male historical figure. And you will see, like, how did they get to where they were? They didn't get there conforming. They were rebellious, Like I said, it doesn't have to involve, any, hurting people or anything negative. But look at men in history. They were rebellious. They led revolutions. They conquered lands. And it's just something that I noticed that a lot of men are lacking nowadays. The guts to just do whatever the fuck you please. And like I said, I've seen it in myself. X amount of years just conforming. Like, oh, well, I don't think that's a good idea. I just listening to my parents or whoever else. Like, I've let go of certain opportunities that could have even got me ahead had I just followed my own intuition and just did what I felt was best for me. I mean, I would have been farther along. But take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, and don't take it too literally. Don't take it too far, because some people take this shit too far. But yeah, tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Do you feel like a lot of men, or maybe even yourself, have you conformed a lot to other people, or what other people wanted from you, what society or family or maybe a job wanted from you? Comment below. What's your experiences? What's your thoughts? And if you want to hear more content, like and subscribe if you want to hear more. Peace.